Tell me this. Who do you think all-time greatest wrestler? If you had to pick one, who do you think?
If we could call my wife at home real quick, she could answer this question for me. I'm a Lawler guy.
Okay.
100% Lawler guy. And it started, here it comes, Jerry. Jerry had a nickel for every time somebody said, my dad raised me on wrestling. Mm-hmm. He'd probably be a multi-billionaire.
Yeah.
My dad raised me on professional wrestling. Every Saturday in my house, who was in there, we'd watch wrestling, we'd go get some breakfast and then go to a movie. That was the way it was. Mm. So my dad got in bad health a few years ago, and we were at Methodist North, and it was his time, and they were moved us from the ICU up to hospice. Mm-hmm. So while we're up in the hospice, they're moving him, and we were in the hallway, and this nurse is trying to get my dad situated. And the nurse goes, very rudely, said, y'all need to go over into this other hall. And it was like, okay. So me and my family would go over to this other hall. We're sitting there, and you hear a door open. We look down the hall, and it's Jerry Lawler and his then girlfriend and her son. And I can't tell you what switch flicked in my head. My wife says I lost my mind. Mm-hmm. I just stood up. And Jerry Lawler comes down the hallway, and we commenced to talking. And like I said, we talked. Dad raised him on wrestling and everything, so was kind of going through the story and everything. And it was like he would be thrilled if you would talk to him. My dad was in a bad way. My dad probably had no idea. He spent over an hour with us in that hospital room, just talking and trying to talk to my dad and talking to us and consoling us and everything. And it blew my mind. I was just like, is this real life right now? Mm-hmm. So my dad passed the next morning. A few months later, they were running a show in Memphis. Wildfire Wrestling that's Kevin Lawler's company. They were running a show in Memphis, and Lawler and Dundee were supposed to go at it in a Southern Heavyweight Championship tournament. So I called my brother up, and I was like, "Hey man, do you want to go to this show?" I was like, for Dad, I think that would be kind of neat." So we went. And so Lawler was sitting at his table during an intermission. So I go up to him, and I was like, I don't know if you remember me or not. I was like, you sat with my dad and me at the hospital. He goes, oh, yeah, we went back the next morning to check on. The nurses said he had passed away. And you could have knocked me over with a feather. I was like, what?
Yeah.
And to me, at that moment, that just kind of grounded it. That man he was in a hospital for his brother who was in bad health at the time. He had no reason whatsoever to come and mess with little old me and my dad,
Yeah, well, I can kind of echo some of that. So he was on this podcast, right?
Super nice dude.
And I was similar to you. We were kind of raised on wrestling, and used to watch the Saturday morning stuff. And I always looked up to Jerry Lawler. My name's Jerry. His is Jerry. I'm Jerry the Lawyer. He's Jerry Lawler. So I've always
get confused in a Google search real quick.
Exactly. So I've always kind of mixed it together. But anyway, when we got a hold of him and he agreed to come, I thought he was only going to be here 30 minutes. His time is very valuable. Mm-hmm. And man, this guy stayed hour and a half plus, and he probably would have stayed longer. I ended up kind of cutting it off.
Yeah.
And one of the best podcasts we've had. Yeah. And then after even talked to me, he brought me a Superman. My office is all Superman decorated. He brought me this Superman.
I'm a Superman guy too.
Sweet. So like mine's right. Anyway, so he brought me this that I got hanging up in there, and was just so genuinely nice. Mm-hmm. I feel bad though, because I think I've never told anybody this part. When I was walking him out, I don't hang around. There are not many people that I get like starstruck in front of.
Right.
Like, I mean, there's a couple of people I look up to, but most people that people would consider celebrities.
Yeah.
Man, I don't think about it. It's just they're people,
Right.
But he's sort of just like you think of him. He's sort of an icon to me.
Right.
And so when I walked him out, I had just got this Jaguar in this car, and it's used. It's not like it's expensive or nothing, but I assume he's got a Batmobile. He's got all this stuff. So I was like, oh yeah, what'd you drive up here in? Kind of. But I think hindsight, it probably made me sound real superficial, because he's like, I'm just in my truck, like it's not a big deal. And but yeah, man, he was way more down to earth than I thought he would be.
Very down.
He was super cool. I was trying to think who I would think would be. Growing up, I liked Jerry Lawler, obviously, but Hulk Hogan. I was that era in the 80s, so I was a big Hulk Hogan fan. Jerry Lawler's definitely top 2, 3. Josh, did you watch wrestling much?
I never was a big wrestler.
Justin did.
I was aware of a lot of them through like I remember Hulk Hogan was in like one of the Rocky movies and stuff like that. So that was my experience.
Thunder
with
Lips.
wrestling.
He was Thunder Lips
Yes.
in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
That's what Hogan did the best as far as parlaying it into more of a career.
Well, I would
outside of
say
wrestling.
until The Rock.
Until The Rock.
Until The Rock. The Rock's taking it to a whole
changed
other
the
level.
rules. Rock changed the rules.
That's a whole other
Changed the rules.
man. And you talk about that dude. What is he? Late 40s now.
50s.
And he's bigger than he was.
Yeah.
Like this guy's got it down to a
His
science.
thing is his charisma. He's a very smart man.
Oh, sure,
very
sure.
smart man. But
Yeah,
his
yeah.
charisma, he can walk into a room and win everybody over in a second.